Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and everyone's present with 2 members coming in by Zoom. And start with the land acknowledgement. The municipality of Dysart acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory known as the Williams Treaty First Nations, which includes Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Boswell, and Georgina First Nations. And we thank those nations for their care and stewardship as they passed through our land. And next we'll have the adoption of the agenda. Mallory?
Yeah, be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Dysart et al. Held on February 25th, 2025 be approved as presented.
Mover and seconder. Nancy and Pat, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Being none. Adoption of the minutes, Mallory.
Be it resolved that Council approves the following meeting minutes as circulated: regular meeting of Council January 28th and public meeting January 28th.
Okay, need a mover and seconder. Carmen Barry, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, so any updates from the deputy mayor?
Yeah, I'd just like to say on behalf of the community that I think we should big thank you out to our roads department for the great job that the roads department did, the management and all the staff. It's just so great to get all that snow off the street, and they sure did a good job.
Maybe we got it off, now we'll keep it off for the rest of the year. Okay, so thanks. Resolution then to go into public meeting.
Be it resolved that Council hereby adjourns the regular meeting of Council at 9:02 a.m. to proceed into a public meeting to consider zoning bylaw amendment files D14-ZB-2024-006, which is lands of Halberton Forest Biochar, and D14-ZB-2024-14, lands of Blair.
Okay, could I have a mover and seconder? Walt and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, the public meeting. Good morning and welcome. The public meeting for February 25th will now come to order. A notice of all those attendants that this meeting will be live streamed to YouTube and recorded. Please note that the recording will be linked to the municipal website. The purpose of the meeting is to present planning applications to a planning forum as required by the Planning Act. This is a public meeting to consider 2 proposed zoning amendments to the Dysart et al. Zoning bylaw, 2005-120. It's council's responsibility to consider all information received to date regarding this application and to hear and consider any views you may have about these applications. Every person present or registered will have the opportunity to ask questions about the proposals and voice their opinion regarding the same. Please state your name and your relation to the application prior to speaking. Each person will have up to 5 minutes to provide comments or ask questions. Please direct all your questions and comments to the chair. Please restrict your comments to planning matters only. After this public meeting is over, council will make a recommendation as to whether or not the proposed zoning amendment should be passed. Council's recommendations will then be considered during the regular meeting of council. Once council has made a decision on the proposed amendment, notice will be circulated as per the Planning Act. All those persons who have given the municipality written notice that they would like to receive notice of the decision will receive a copy of the decision, and you must make this request in writing. If a person or public body who would otherwise have the ability to appeal the decision of council to the Ontario Land Tribunal, but the person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make a written submission to Dysart in respect to the proposed amendment of the zoning bylaw, the municipality gives or refuses to give approval of the amendment of the zoning bylaw. If a person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the municipality of Dysart et al. To the Land Tribunal, and the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal unless, in the opinion of the board, there is reasonable grounds to do so. So we'll now commence with the public meeting. First application is file D14 ZB 2025-2023 Lanza Halliburton Forest Biochar Limited. And Jeff, you're doing this? Is Jeff coming in, Lori?
Good morning, Mayor and member of council. Chris Orson, our manager of planning, will take this file. If we just have 1 second, he'll be with us.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, sorry, I was just being led into the meeting here. So this is for the Biochar Limited. The proposal seeks to amend the property's existing zoning to allow the expansion of the wood processing operation specializing in biochar production. The amendment would increase the permitted total combined ground floor area of all buildings from 2,800 square meters to 4,354 square meters. Specifically, the applicant intends to expand the gross floor area by constructing 2 new storage structures and a parking area for approximately 20 vehicles, all within the property's defined development envelope. All supporting studies and reports were peer-reviewed by the municipal engineer. The development is also subject to concurrent site plan agreement to implement the mitigation and recommendations of the studies and reports, including stormwater management and drainage. All neighboring property owners within 120 meters were circulated as per the Planning Act. To date, we have some general comments from Tiffany Lenhart and Brent Bishop. They're not opposed to the expansion. They just had concerns about noise after the building phase and site of buildings, as there are no tree lines between their property and the EP Creek, between the 2 properties. And recommendation is subject to the site plan agreement that will be implemented for the technical recommendations of the site evaluation report and proposed development of the property. It is staff's opinion that the application will be consistent with the PPS and conform with the municipal Dysart's official plan is appropriate and represents good planning. And I believe the public, Tiffany Lenhart and Brent may be in attendance to speak to their comments, potentially.
Yeah, we have Jamie here as well, I think in person, who is the agent on the file. And I don't know if he has something to say
Okay.
first.
Yep, he may want to speak to that first.
Okay, there is someone here then that wants to speak for this? Oh, I just questioned, okay. Well, I'm glad to see they're progressing and looks like they're going to create some jobs, which is fantastic. So are there any questions from council? This is straight buildings and I think it's all good. So, so there are no questions then? Well, you don't have to come up to the front then. There you go. The meeting will be, I guess if there's no questions, we can move right ahead and council can ask any if they have them.
No, I don't think we got any questions, Mary. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. They're just expanding their building size
good,
and
yep.
everybody's positive on it, so. Yep.
So this concludes the public comment portion of the meeting. And again, if council members have no concerns, this concludes public meeting for file number D14ZB 2025-23, Lanza Halliburton Forest Biochar. The next application.
Okay, so the next application.
Sorry, Chris, before you
sorry.
get too far, I'm gonna pass
Yep.
I'm gonna get the resolution passed.
Yeah, do that
Now,
now.
we do have someone in the background, but they're called Gord, so I don't know who that is. So if those are the people who came to came to speak, and if you have something to say, you could put your hand up perhaps through Zoom. But yeah, they put their hand up. I think that's who it is. So sorry to hold us up, but I think we'll promote the person named Gord, and I think that's probably the two people who wanted to speak to this file. Sorry, Sue. I just want to make sure we don't miss anyone.
Oh, okay. Who's Mr. Gord?
I suspect it is the two individuals who registered, but it's just Tiffany and Brent, but I think it might just be mislabeled. So we'll see.
Oh, go ahead. Not there?
Hello?
Yes.
We can hear
yeah.
you.
Yeah, sorry, it logged under Gorda. Brent, Bishop. We have no concerns at this time. All our questions were answered in the previous email that we received from them.
Well, I guess that means we still close the file then.
Yep,
Oh,
go
thank you,
ahead. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that everyone got a chance.
Yep.
Okay, I will read the resolution.
Okay.
Be it resolved that file number D14-ZB-2024-006, Lands of Halbert Forest Biochar Limited, which consists of part lot 33, concession 5 in the geographic township of Dysart, municipality of Dysart et al., be received for information, and that council directs a bylaw be brought forward for consideration during its February 25th, 2025 regular meeting, and that council recommend the bylaw be approved.
Okay. Mover and seconder. Nancy and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next file.
Okay, the next one is item 2B on the agenda, which is Lands of Blair. This is for zoning bylaw amendment. The proposed amendment would rezone the property from rural type 1 and general industrial to rural type 2, rural type 1 exception zone, general industrial and environmental protection. This amendment aims to formally recognize the existing frontages and areas for the proposed 3 lots while accurately delineating the environmental protection areas. The application is a result of a concurrent consent application that's being finalized, and this is one of the conditions of the severance application is for the zoning of the property. This is just to recognize the 3 former lots that were merged at one point into one property. Circulation has been provided to 120 meters of the subject property as per the Planning Act. To date, no comments have been received, and subject to the current severance agreement to implement the technical recommendations of the environmental study, it is staff's opinion that the application will be consistent of the provincial planning statement, conform to Dysart's official plan as appropriate, represent good planning, and we recommend approval of the bylaw. And I believe Sue Harrison is in attendance to speak to the application.
Hey, Sue, do you want to speak to the application?
Yes, thank you. As everyone I think knows, I'm Sue Harrison, Principal of Places and Spaces Consulting. I am the authorized agent for Marnie Blair, who owns the property at 2572 Sawyers Lake Road. Chris has given you a thorough overview of what the amendment does. It protects the natural resources that were defined in the environmental impact study for this property. It will also fulfill a condition of provisional approval for the related consents, and I support staff's recommendation.
Okay, thanks, Sue. Council want to ask any questions? Again, this one's pretty straightforward. The meeting be now open for public comments if there are any. And is there anyone here who wishes to address this proposal? Okay, and no members of council have any questions? Okay, so this concludes the public comment portion of the meeting.
I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the report for the lands of Blair, which consists of part lots 1 to 3, concession 7, in the geographic township of Dysart, municipality of Dysart et al., be received for information, and that council directs a bylaw be brought forward for consideration during its February 25th, 2025 regular meeting, and that council recommends that the bylaw be approved.
Okay, mover and seconder, Barry and Pat, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, we'll go back into regular meeting with a resolution.
Okay, be it resolved that council hereby adjourns a public meeting at 9:15 a.m. and reconvenes the regular meeting of council.
Okay, mover and seconder. Walt and Carm, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, I guess we have Faye Martin. Is Faye here? Places for people. Or you, Faye? You just pushing the red button.
Yep.
You
Can you
got
hear
it.
me? I'm
Okay,
good.
you're ready to go.
So I'm here today to ask for permission to make a grant for federal government money to improve the energy efficiency of one of our properties here in Halliburton Village. So Places for People, as you probably all know, but I'll say it anyway, is a charity that provides, we've been around since 2007. We provide rental housing for people of low to moderate income in Halliburton County, those who live and work in Halliburton County. Over the years, we've acquired 5 properties, 20 units. Of those 20 units, 17 are deeply affordable. Of those 17, the first 7 that we acquired, which were single-family dwellings and duplexes, are supported by a municipal subsidy, rent subsidy. The other ones that we've more recently acquired are not. They are market housing. They are very deeply affordable market housing because when we bought those properties, a 5-plex on 118 near Maple Lake, and then the property that I want to talk to you about today, 104 Highland here in the village, we we bought the tenants along with the property. All right. We did that in order to keep those units affordable. Because as you know, if tenants stay in place, their rent goes up very slowly. There's rent controls. It can only increase by the amount that the province allows, which is usually 1 or 2% per year. And so by taking the tenants along with the properties, we kept those units very affordable. We also, and which of course then poses, as I said, 17 out of 20 of them are deeply affordable and no subsidies involved. So that makes the operating budget pretty challenging. We also pay for utilities. So we are very anxious to improve the energy efficiency, particularly of 104 Highland, so that both on a financial basis, but also of course on an environmental basis. So what we want to do, we're working with Longview Services and are proposing to ask for a preliminary planning grant from the Green Municipal Fund. The conduit for that is the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and they require that the municipality know that we are making this application, that they think we're a legitimate organization to do that it is an appropriate project, and specifically that they identify somebody within your bureaucracy that will be our point person, our liaison for this project. So what the grant does is it offers up to 80% of $30,000 for pre-development costs. So we would use this to evaluate the current building, develop the team that would help us figure out how best to bring it up to standard, and where we could get money for that, do all of the other stakeholder evaluations and engagements that we need to. There's no obligation on the part of the municipality aside from giving us permission and a point person. There's no risk to you. I think there's no downside. It's outside money coming inside to improve our housing stock. And as you all know, we need affordable rental housing stock quite badly in this community. So that's my gig. I'm just asking for permission. I hope you'll find it easy to give us permission to proceed.
Any questions for Faye? Everybody understand that? Any questions? Okay, so,
Easy peasy.
yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll read a resolution here. Whereas Places for People has identified a source of funding to undertake improvements to a rental unit, and whereas the funding can only be accessed with approval from the municipality, now therefore be it resolved that Dysart Council supports an application for a preliminary planning grant to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Sustainable Affordable Housing Initiative related to the P4P 8-plex building located at 104 Highland Street, and further directs the Places for People and Longview Services Incorporated submit a completed draft application to the municipality for the purposes of making the application. Now, Faye, can you confirm if we make the application on your behalf? Oh, she's already at the back of the room.
What's the question?
Do we make the application on your behalf?
Nope.
We don't.
Nope.
Okay. So I'm going to remove that final part, but basically we approve it, and I'll remove that
Yeah.
final part of the resolution because we don't have to do that for you. So I'm done now.
Municipal contact though?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we need a municipal contact, whoever that's going to
Yeah,
be.
and
Howard.
staff will work with them for that, for sure.
We need, I think, a specific name, Mallory. is what I
Tamara,
understand.
who do you want to give for that?
I'm thinking probably Jennifer for the grant
Okay.
stuff to keep in mind.
We'll note that.
Okay, super.
Okay.
I'm gone? Okay.
Okay, I just need the mover and seconder there.
Okay, Carm and Walt, all in favor? Carried, okay? Next, Andrew? And Jeff and Chris are coming on.
Yes, thank you. So this is item B on the agenda, which is the request to waive site plan control. I can just give a quick little overview, and then I believe Andrew Hodgins is in attendance to speak to the application and questions that council may have. So the property was recently issued a work order by the Municipal Bylaw Department for construction of structures without building permits. The property is zoned highway commercial and therefore subject to municipal site plan control bylaw, which requires the owner to enter into site plan agreement with the municipality. Considering this, the owner has submitted a letter requesting to the municipality to waive site plan control for their property. Their letter outlines that site alteration and development has already taken place on the property, including installation of fencing, gates, and other site preparation work. Additionally, the site now includes a 8 by 39-foot office, a 9 by 9 storage shed, 60 by 38-foot canvas dome shop. The full letter was attached for council's consideration with the report. And under a municipal site plan control bylaw, site plan control is required for new commercial developments. This process ensures that the land is developed is developed properly, designed, safe, and functional, while minimizing potential impacts on neighboring properties. It also ensures compliance with the municipality's development standards. Staff have identified several compliance issues and concerns that were outlined in the report, including compliance issues, development without permit, and drainage concerns as noted by the County of Haliburton. The comments provided are based on municipal policies and guidelines, which require site plan control and site plan drawings to demonstrate that the site can be appropriately developed in accordance with the municipal policies. So the record of comments, typically these aren't circulated to the public, but this is circulated internally. So we do have some internal comments from internal departments. One is from the building department, which the office on the property was never been permitted with a permit. Property will require sufficient washrooms. There is a larger building over the gas pumps that was constructed recently without a permit. Current work order on the property for building constructed without a permit. Septic will need to be addressed on the property. The County of Haliburton has provided comment that they have concerns with drainage infrastructure abutting the site, but will need some more time to review and require additional information, example, for their grading and drainage plan. To provide a complete comment. The applicant may wish to also follow up with the County of Haliburton for those comments. And recommendation, while staff are generally supportive of the proposed development, considering the outstanding compliance concerns, comments received, and applicable municipal policies and guidelines, as recommended that council deny the request to waive site plan control, and that the property owner enter into site plan agreement to ensure that the municipal policies, design standards, stakeholder comments are appropriately addressed and implemented in the development. And I'll turn it over to council.
Andrew, do you want to comment now?
Yeah, thank you. Andrew Hodson, real estate agent and agent for the applicant. I certainly like the way the meeting's going so far. Everybody's cruised through nicely. Everybody's in a good mood. I'll try to keep to the 5 minutes, Chair, and I thank you. So a little bit, if I could, a little bit of an overview and a bit how we got here and how I got us into this. So my client is a young woman that's a landscape and construction local woman. So she bought the lot. It's its own commercial highway. We reached out originally to the municipality and I'm really appreciative of not only council's patience, but the staff has been great with me and the patience with me trying to work through this. It's all new to the applicant, as you call it, and myself. So I appreciate your patience and your indulgence in trying to figure this out, which I think can figure out a pretty simple solution, I hope. So the lot was always been zoned commercial highway, as long as I know that we have some Ward 1 and sorry, not Ward 1, both couple councillors know it very well. It was an ugly lot. It was a messed up lot, had an old shack on it. It's always had a fence that was ripped down and torn up. So we had a meeting with right off the bat with the planning department, confirmed as commercial highway. The owner reached out to 2 planning experts, hired them and to take a look at it as far as site plan. And this is where my mistake came in. Both experts came back and said, you don't need us. You don't need to hire us. This is very simple. This is such a simple thing, what you're wanting to do here. It's really just a depot. It has, and I'll go through the structures, but the use of it is really just to run a landscape business out of it. So that was my mistake in that when they said it was simple and they didn't need them, I thought we didn't need you. So I apologize for that. And that's how we got rolling on this. The owner started cleaning up, making it look a lot better. It looks way better. Put up the old fencing. It's new fencing now. The lot's been cleaned up. Started with the old shack, got rid of it, and put up a 9x9 tool shed. And then she was able to bring a mobile, disassemble and bring a dome structure so she can continue to clean up the lot, get things inside, have it look better. And that's significant. The site prep work and the cost of it and the setting up, she's in the $80,000 there so far on that dome. We didn't felt it came under the bylaw of a building permit. That was our mistake. Building department showed up, were very respectful, very good, but just said we need to get proper approval. So in that process, the owner hired an engineer to come out and look at the dome structure, said you need some posts, we need a drainage, a little better drainage, stamp new papers. So as far as the engineer is concerned, we should be in good shape to get a building permit. So hopefully we can work through that. She also has an office that she brought, trying to set up an office. So that basically is the end of the building of the lot. It's going to have this dome structure, and it's going to, so she can continue to clean up, get equipment inside, keep it out of the weather, and work out of a garage. It's over to the side, which is nice. You wouldn't want it in the middle of the lot. It would look ugly. It's tucked away. She'll have an office, and then she has a shed with 2 overhangs, which has a fuel, and then she has her skid steer under it. So it's basically a 9x9 with overhangs. Certainly we can work with the building department on that. When we get into some of the other issues, I really question, because I do believe this is a simple commercial highway property. I don't see how it's any more complicated than what I see anywhere. The highway is a county road. It's had a 911 as long as I know. It's had entrances as long as I've been there. Nothing's changed there. It's always had entrances. It's always had a 911. We have the water, the lot hasn't been changed significantly. The drainage around the buildings has been part of the engineer's report, which she has to do and has done. It's just rainwater. It goes, nothing's changed on the lot in that regard. And it's a depot, so it's not that we're doing anything that would cause contamination. I don't know what to say about the washrooms. I don't know what the gravel pits and what the depots, like a porta potty, we can certainly work with that. But I don't think that's going to be a big issue if that's the building department wants to have her put there's 2 public ones close to their office that you know, there's one at your rink and there's one at the MTO, but if she has to put up a porta potty, I'm sure she can do that. That's not much of an issue in that regard. So what we're trying to do is we obviously didn't get into the site plan business because I didn't know, I misunderstood what the planner said. Because it's zone property, we're not changing zoning, it's always had an entrance. She's trying to set up a business, she's trying to make the lot look better, and I think the folks, certainly Carms on the ward closest there, it does look better than it did. It's just been a bad old lot forever. Now it's starting to look like a business trying to run it, and she's a young entrepreneur that's local that's trying to move forward. I'm hoping that we can come to something that doesn't cause more money as far as studies, as far as permits, as far as time. I would love to have the idea that she could get her actual roof on so she can continue to clean up this thing, set up the office, and then if we have to work through, you know, the building department in Dysart is the best of the four that I deal with. There's no question. We can work together on this. I'm sure I'm making sure that the dome is compliant with whatever they need because it is engineered, stamped, dealt with everything. Do have to put posts in, which we've sent to Dysart. Dysart has that now, but you know, I deal with all four municipalities. So I'm sure we can work together because we have, like I said, you, Chair, and it's a credit to yourself and the CEO. You have the best staff of any of the four I deal with. Algonquin Highlands is pretty good on the planning department too. I wouldn't want to slam them, but your staff get back to us all the time immediately, which is really appreciated by myself and my clients. I don't do much myself. I just try to sell a little bit of real estate, but I'm not involved in much else. But I would appreciate your patience on it, and hopefully we can come to a resolve.
Murray, is your mic off? By any chance?
Doesn't. I didn't want anybody to hear me.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
I thought I was saying to Andrew, when Carl comes on, he comes on later in the meeting. Because you do need a roof on that dome.
Yeah, we gotta get the roof on. Wish she had it. She was close to having it. She was digging out 4 feet of snow on her trailers the other day and was cursing me pretty bad. So
And then we can discuss the porta potty with him.
yeah, I don't think that's a big deal, Chair. I didn't know if I was surprised that that's a requirement on, because I travel around a lot and see a lot.
Yeah.
I was surprised that's a requirement, but that's okay though. That's not hard to do, I guess. I don't know if folks at the council table know better than me. It doesn't seem.
So other than that, it's just whether we can waive the site plan agreement and any concern the county's got, I don't.
Well, I don't know. Sorry, if I could, I'd push back on that. I don't know. Maybe council has a better opinion, but I don't know how like you have something in zone, it's not changing zoning, it's always had entrances. How could the county have any issues?
They're going to argue it's a change in use.
How does it change use? It's always been commercial highway. It's always had a shack. It's always been
Yeah.
a depot.
Yeah.
It has an office now.
Yeah.
Like we're not.
I hear
you know,
you. It's
And Andrew's correct on the drainage and stuff, that nothing has changed
No,
from the
nothing.
road to the back.
No, I know. It's been
It's
the
all
same
the
for
same.
50 years, yeah.
Like I helped Everett put that big catch basin in them culverts when he filled it, and that was all road fill from when they did 118. So that's been there for a long time.
And
Yeah.
I'm gonna say the same thing. Little bit background for me is I've lived on both sides of it.
Yeah.
I lived on the river side of it for a number of years, and then we sold and moved on the other side of it. So, again, I'm going back 30 years. And there's no drainage issues whatsoever on it. It's well drained and the ditches are where they're supposed to be and everything. So that's really not an issue for me at all.
Okay.
And as far as the rest of it, yeah, I think we need to talk to Carl and see how we can work it out. Andrew, I don't know if Andrew wants to come back later or be here when Carl's addressing this or not. But
I can't, but I appreciate the offer, but I think you'd understand where I'm at. If we can figure out I didn't think a 9x9 needs a building permit, but it's built, so it's good. So I don't think the client has any issue with Carl, working with Carl on building permits
Okay.
at all. Like, I think they're all good. The office you brought in is a pretty straightforward office. Like, I don't think there's gonna be any issue on that.
It's a mobile office anyway, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It's a mobile office.
Sure.
That's
So the
right.
shipping containers and that roof's really the only thing that Carl should be looking at on that note. Cause the site's evolved.
Yeah.
Like she was getting started and slowly evolution of business on that
Yeah.
note. So here we are.
Trying to clean it up, trying to make a living.
Yeah.
It does look a lot cleaner.
And trying to do things right. The idea that not coming to site, but it's completely on me. I just, after talking to our planners, they just said, like, what they were saying is we don't need to hire them. It's so simple, but here we are.
Nothing simple these days. Trust me.
Carl's in the background. Do you want him promoted right now, or?
Oh, I guess we might as well.
Sorry, Carl, we're a bit early, but.
And then there'd be one person at the office at the most, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just basically where it parks your trucks and tries to.
Yeah.
It's not big, this is not a big operation. It's not
No, no.
Fowler's, it's not the biochar that you dealt with. This is just a landscaper trying to make a living.
Right?
Yes.
Well, this resolution is either to waive the site plan or approve the waiving of the site plan. But I mean, I think ultimately, regardless of what Carl has to say, we need to defer this to see what they can come up with. I mean, the resolution is based on waiving the site plan, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure
I know, but
Carl can provide us the information to say, yes, we can waive it, or no, we can't.
yeah, I don't know if he can waive it. I think we got to get the building issue settled.
So the just to jump in, the building code would not allow us to issue permits until site plan is either agreement is formalized or if site plan is waived. So we wouldn't be able to issue permits until that time.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
So sorry, Carl, so you can waive the site plan, then you can work with we can work with the building permits.
Correct. Yeah. If it gets waived, then you can apply for building permits at that time.
Murray, I got a question. It says all these are built within the setback, okay? Well, I know the lot, it's not that big. So if they move, like how much, maybe Carl can answer this, Andrew, how much more in did you need to be from the lot lines?
Well, sorry, I had a question on I've got the instructions here on what we've been working on site setbacks, and my understanding, and this is after speaking with unless I took my notes wrong with planning, the site line that we're looking at, the lot line that we're looking at is beside another commercial property. So we've been working off 1.5 meters.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, so
That's not correct?
Yeah, I think it is correct.
yeah, so it's well within. We're good shape there.
Well, how come it says, so yeah,
Carl, what's your?
So,
Not
so if it doesn't go through site plan, so if it goes through site plan, planning department will review all the setbacks, make sure all the buildings are in compliance with the locations. If it comes straight to building permits, then we're going to review the property based on zoning. I haven't looked at this at all yet, so I can't comment on any of that.
What do you know off the top of your head, what that sideline setback should be then?
Not based on this type of zoning. We're not usually in commercial zoning looking at zoning approvals. It's usually done by our planning department. So unless Chris or Jeff want to jump in and talk about it, they've probably done this analysis already.
Jeff, you
Yeah.
know what that back is.
Yeah, so on the south side where it abuts another commercial property, it's considered an interior side lot line, and it's only a 1.5 meter setback. On the north side, it's an exterior side lot line because there's a municipal road allowance there, so it's a 13.5 meter setback on that side. But there is a stream identified by the Ministry of Natural Resources kind of going down our road allowance as well, so there's a setback from that stream.
So the setback is 30 meters.
that's from your old. It's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing.
It's road allowance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, there's a stream that is identified, and we take the mapping from the Ministry of Natural Resources. So that's on our mapping that shows that there's either a stream or intermittent stream that goes through there. So that would require a setback.
Can you work within that setback, Andrew?
Well,
Because this seems like the lot's
it's
too
a
small.
question where it is. So the stream where the other corner is closer, the stream on this side, and I went through the snow and whatnot, it's not on this property, it's back way. So the lot for folks who don't know, and you guys know for sure, this, a lot goes level like this and then it has a straight down. And back in there's a stream right in Barry's backyard where he was Barry's backyard, but we're quite a ways from that. And I put some marks on. Maybe what I'm hearing is if we're good with if the council's good with the 3 buildings on this, then what we're talking about is the building permits. So we waive the site plan, and then Carl can deal with the building permits with us, and we can work with on that.
Yeah, well,
Maybe that's the solution.
it's council's wish.
What's entailed of the site plan, like, is this a long drawn out thing? Like, what is the advantages of not doing it versus doing it? But is there, at the end of the day, are we gonna come up with a different outcome if we spend all this time doing it? So we're just gonna, a whole bunch of money we're wasting and time for something that we're gonna approve anyways, let's say.
I guess, if, I don't know, I don't like to do stuff I don't have to do,
That's
but
right.
if you didn't do it, and then you found out it was wrong, then the next guy that buys it,
But I guess I'm thinking, if they're gonna deal with these issues in bylaw for building permits and stuff, it's gonna be dealt with at that time anyway.
What's your opinion, Carl?
Sorry. So with the building permit, it's we don't look at like stormwater management, any of those things. So like with this site, we're adding more roost areas, which are going to allow stormwater to basically migrate into the ground. That's going to be shed off. So there's going to be less capacity for the lot to receive stormwater. It's going to be directed away from the property. And it's mostly because of the roof structures. So that's one of the elements. And again, Jeff or Chris could probably talk about the benefits of going through site plan control, what they look at with that process, and see what maybe explain a little bit better to council so that council can make an informed decision on that.
My own opinion is we're not putting up an IKEA store. It's just a little tent in terms of storage. I don't have a problem with stormwater runoff there at all. It's never been an issue on that note.
Yeah.
And a raised lot.
Yes.
I guess I'm gonna say basically the same thing. If it was a bigger building that had a lot of runoff coming off it, maybe, and I don't even think of it then because it's been this way for so many years, and same amount of water is gonna hit it, no matter if it was 30 years ago or next year. So, anyway, it's just my opinion. Me being around it all my life, I just don't see an issue with stormwater management.
If they have to do all this stuff through the building permits and that planning to get that done, I'm good with waiving the site plan, because like I say, the lot's level, there is a storm drain right in the middle of it, sort of like it's back, I think it's 3/4 of the way back, isn't it? There's a big catch basin they never put in, and yeah, it's dry, it's a dry lot.
so you think it probably is almost 30 meters, do you think it is?
From that creek, there is no creek, there's what they're saying is a creek is a you couldn't get your,
Runoff.
you
It's
couldn't
not
get
a
your rubber
live
boots
stream.
wet. Yeah,
So because it's low.
right, but it's also, but Murray, it's also probably, you say 30 feet down from the
Oh,
level.
that's quite a ways.
20 to 30.
Yeah, yeah, that's how much Everett built the lot up, so to get to that creek, there's,
There's no mics on right now, so I don't know who's talking, but
Turn your mic on.
We have a resolution on it, Valerie?
council wishes to waive, so I'll read that. Be it resolved that council approve the request to waive site plan control for the lands legally known as Part Lot 6, Concession 4, Part 9, Registered Plan 19R-5229 in the geographic township of Guilford, municipality of Dysart et al.
Okay, all in favor? Carried.
I think we need a mover and seconder unless I missed that.
Well, good. Carm and Pat.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
So we just, she goes ahead and talks to Carl about the building permits. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Brendan Clark. Cozy Corner.
There, thank you, council.
How are you?
Good.
So you're the new owner of the Cozy?
Yeah, so we took over in June, mid-June.
Mhm.
And, been going good since. It's been a learning experience. It's our first business in Halliburton, and it's going.
How's it working out?
It's good. You know, I think staff are great. the locals are really awesome. Like, even the local business, you know, everyone's welcomed us.
You got your mic? Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Just turn it up a little bit. for you.
And they've been welcoming and supportive, and it seems like everybody comes in for breakfast and says hi. It's been fun.
Guys are kind of established in Bancroft area too, right?
Yeah, so we own 3 restaurants in Bancroft right now.
So you got a bit of a shock on the seating.
ERUs, yeah, in the sewer rate. So I talked to Jim Tice, who did the renovation back in 2006. And it hasn't changed. The seating plan hasn't changed since.
He probably expanded it.
Yeah, well, he moved bathrooms to the right side, and yeah, there's 100 seats right now. And I think we're at 62 seats for ERUs. So the increase is 4.5, which would be $21,000.
So you're 4 short?
Yeah, 4.5, I think.
Carl has his hand up, just so you know.
Okay.
If I could just give a little bit of a background on this. So back in 2006, when this became a restaurant, it switched from a retail business to a restaurant. It was originally designed by the architect for 98 seats. With that plan, there were the seats were numbered up to 62, and the plan was changed to 62 seats, and it was signed by James R. Tice. So, and this, based on the information within this building permit file, it's clear that this was because of the ERU count. So they tried to reduce their ERU count. And you'll see from that resolution back from 2006, council granted them 3 ERUs for free, essentially, to bring them up to the 7 ERUs total. So with that, if they go back to the 98, they would require 4.5 more ERUs.
Because, yeah, it's a lot. It really should have been there since 2006, right? They should have been paying the 11 ERUs. Is that correct?
Yeah, so based on the revision to the plan, and it looks like it was done by James Tice, who was the owner at the time. He brought it down to 62 seats from the original design 98 seats. And it was probably to save some money on ERUs at that time.
And like, you know, the summertime is very busy and the wintertime is not very busy. I don't know, maybe there was a deal put in place because of that, because it's not full capacity at any given time of the year.
So how many seats are those stalls that are in there? Are they counting them as 2 seats or 4?
Both. So I think we have 2-seaters and 4-seaters.
Did you say 4?
Yeah, some are 4 and some are 2.
Yeah. Okay.
But it works out to, like, we asked the servers a couple weeks ago to count. They got 100 seats. So maybe they counted one of those 4s as a 2 before. But it's pretty close, 98 and 100.
This is a tough one because
yeah,
it's really a tough one when you get the ERU.
It's 18 years of missed ERUs on, you know, because of, I don't know.
So you want to keep all those seats though?
Yeah, well, we would have to. We couldn't take seats away. We'd just be losing too much business that way. Because there's been 98 seats since 2006.
Well, I know I shouldn't be doing it because we need the ERUs, but I'm going to suggest we give him, he gets 2 this year and the rest next year. Split it instead of putting it all on them at once. Does that sound reasonable to you?
I don't know, potentially. You know, I think.
I mean, we can't ignore it or else you're going to have to take seats out.
Yeah. So either way, so us being honest.
That's a lot better than 4.5.
Yeah, no, for sure it is.
I don't know if the council agree with that or not, but that meets them halfway. Gives them 2 years to pay it off instead of now.
not sure you're convinced of that, yeah.
Well, I was hoping for some relief on it really because, you know,
5 years.
yeah,
Well, if we
What
do
works
that
for
for
you?
you, we gotta do it for everybody else and we can't do it.
I really don't have this one. Cause, you know, paying it, the amount we're gonna make off the liquor license, so we were applying for a liquor license, that's where this ERU came up. And, to make the money back, you know,
I know, I
it
know
would
it's
be, it would be
tough.
30 years. You know what I mean? So,
Did you say, when somebody mentioned 5 years, did you kind of,
well, it's better than one. Yeah, it's better than one for sure.
I mean, I would be fine if it was like a 5 year. I want everybody to do as well as they can. I'm scared of the down,
every
what
year?
what the downtown's gonna look like in 2 years if we don't work with people. And I get that we need the use too. We
Yeah,
need them
no, I
and
get
we
you.
gotta be careful, but
It's too bad the last two owners didn't get it.
Well, go ahead,
Yeah.
do whatever you want.
if 5
Whatever you
years
think.
work, I don't know what everybody else thinks, but
Can I ask Barbara, for auditing purposes and so on, how would something like this be worded? So just so we make sure it's clear, like staff know what they're doing, because I don't want to just say further directs that the payment of the additional 4.5 ERUs be charged over the next 5 years, because that's kind of muddy in terms of how you're doing your job. So what would you say in terms of that, like in terms of our process?
So if I may respond, if the total outstanding ERUs are 4.5, then you can stage it in year 1. Perhaps you add 1 ERU. In year 2, they would pay for 2 ERUs. Year 3 would be 3 ERUs, and maybe in year 4 would be the balance to be 4.5 ERUs. So it would just accumulate over the next 4 years.
And
So
keep
what-
the seating the way it is now.
Yeah,
sounds like he's okay with it. I'm okay with it. If everybody else wants to jump in, say yes or no.
Fine with me, fine with you.
I'm just wondering, what all the other restaurants in town, is it gonna be any kickback on going back to us and asking for favors? Do we foresee that, Carl, or?
But at the end of the day, he's
are
getting
their ERUs proper? Maybe.
he's not really getting a favor, he's just getting a term. He's still paying for it in the long run, it's just how long he's gonna pay for it. It's not like we're giving him 4 for free. So it's not. Like, what did the new restaurant do with their ERUs that just come to town? We didn't get them anything on that, did we?
The Hook? No, I don't think we did the other one because it wasn't. No, we didn't do anything there.
This is something that's sort of been missed along the lines too, by the municipality, right? So now we're trying to make them catch up, but we're just giving them a little time to catch up. That's all.
Well, when Hook, Line and Sinker come along and ask you, if they're out for 5 years, what do you want to do?
But that's a new build, Murray, that's not a,
Oh, but it's
Right.
Still using the food.
Murray, your mic's off again. Sorry.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Anyway, I just throw it out there because that's what you're gonna face all the time here, is precedent.
I'm not against, it's great you have new owners and that's great. You're doing great. We're all positive. Like Barry said, any business in town, and that business has so much tradition, history. But like, I'm just trying to be fair to everybody and just say I had a little bit of skin in this game at 24 years. And so I'd like to make sure that we're not gonna have some other restaurant coming back on us and asking for forgiveness or in some form of way.
Yeah, it's a little different because he bought that way. That's
put it in
what we
for
can-
it.
what
I
we
mean,
can hang our hat on.
we can play the blame game here, but bottom line is we have to have a system that works for everybody, basically.
Well, it's almost a case by case basis anyways, if you ask me, whether it's new or whether it's been delayed for 20 years or whatever, like it can't be clear cut. Otherwise, if you read through all the red tape and the problems, we wouldn't have anybody in the main street because everything's been either pushed back or massaged on that note. So to me, council's got an obligation to try and work with everybody.
If we
Works for you,
didn't-
that 5-year deal works for you, that's great.
I think
If
so.
the hook's got something they need to be done, then we look at it as well to try and keep the engine running here.
Yeah, like if we were gonna expand and put a rooftop patio on,
Different conversation.
yeah. If
Sorry, I'm not trying to complicate this further. There's different things here. There's the sewer rate, which is the connection fee. So that's what I think we're discussing right now. The other thing is the service rate, right? So we're gonna go from what we're currently at and we're gonna bump it up to accommodate 98 people. So I just want to make sure that we all agree that the service rate is going up effective immediately.
I think that's the fairest route.
Okay, perfect. So service rate goes up. So what we're staging over 5 years is that sewer rate, I guess it's called. Barbara and Carl, can you correct me if I'm wrong? Would you call it the connection rate or what would you call it?
Connection fee.
Barbara, what were you gonna?
So there's the capital connection fee.
Yeah.
Which is at the current rate, $4,700
Right.
per ERU equivalent. And then there's the equivalent, or what we call the ERU fee, which is the annual operating fee per ERU. And that is subject to an annual increase based on the budget.
Okay, so that goes up immediately, but so I'll specify in the resolution that it's the capital connection fee that we're doing the payment plan on, obviously. Does that make sense to everyone? And Brendan, does that make sense to you?
No, so what happens with the ERUs then?
That they kick up, so sorry, someone interrupt me if I'm wrong, but the service rate, so the rate goes to 98, but your connection fee itself is what the payment is for. So that 4,700 is what we're staging over the 5 years.
Each year is 4,700.
Exactly, each ERU is 4,700.
But the annual rate goes up to what?
Exactly, to reflect the actual count in there. Yeah.
Sorry,
No,
go ahead.
Like this all came about because we wanted a liquor license. If we would have stuck and not wanted, Mimosa Sundays, we would have stayed at the same ERU. So now we're kind of screwed.
On a resolution then?
I just want to ask Barbara quick. Go ahead, Barbara.
Yes, so just clarification in terms of phasing in the 4.5 ERU capital connection. Is that over 4 years or 5 years?
I think we said before.
And then my other question is on the actual operating costs, the ERU, is that phased in over the term, or is it going to be 4.5 ERUs in year 1 at the prevailing rate per ERU?
So Barbara, I think it goes, so in terms of what we're charging for the annual sewer rates, that would go up immediately to the 90, to reflect 98 seats. But what we're doing is we're phasing in the payment of the capital connection fee. So that's all I'm going to mention in the resolution, if that works. I have it over 5 years. So I have 1 ERU per year for 4 years, and then I have 0.5 in the final year. But everyone let me know what you think on that.
I'm good with 5 years.
Okay.
Barbara, I'd just like to ask a question. It's basically not a lot to do with this, but back when I had an issue at McKeck's, and I know I brought the owner in because I had 225 seats and he reduced it to 125, and he was paying a lot of money for ERUs, and we didn't give him any money back, right, for that time. Or remember, it was his responsibility, right, at the time when he bought it. I think that's the point you made to him, that he had to come to you and tell you that he'd reduce the size of the building from 225 to 125. So I'm just Is that do you remember that at all?
Well, I briefly remember the conversation. I do not remember the specific details. However, with that being said, if there's a change of use in any facility, then it would be up to the owner to reach out to the building department to have that assessed if they're looking for a reduction in the ERU.
Thank you.
Okay, somebody want to move? Have you got a resolution there,
I'll,
Mallory?
I'll read it the way it's written and so it says, be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the delegation from Brendan Clark, owner of Cozy Corner, requesting the council review the cost of the required equivalent residential units, ERUs, for the restaurant occupant load of 98 people, and further directs that the payment of capital connection fee for the additional 4.5 ERUs will be charged over the next 5 years as follows: 1 ERU in 2025, 1 ERU in 2026, 1 ERU in 2027, 1 ERU in 2028, and 0.5 ERUs in 2029.
Okay, mover and seconder. Pat and Barry, all in favor? Okay, carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we take a break, Murray?
If you really need one.
I need one.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep. So, yeah, so there's been a letter submitted by David Shapira seeking basically confirmation by the municipality on a name change for Skinner Trail, which is up at Percy Lake. They're looking to change the name of that private road. The county has signed off on it, and they're just seeking confirmation if the municipality has any concerns with that name.
I can't hear anything. Does Murray, do you have your mic on? I don't know if you could call. So are is council in support of the name change?
It was Nancy and Barry.
Who moved and seconded it?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
So yours is off then.
Well, I don't know how you're moving and seconding when I haven't read anything. You guys just have intuition, I guess.
Okay.
I'll read it. Be it resolved that Dysart et al. Council supports the request from residents of Skinner Trail to rename Skinner Trail to Rosie Trail, and we're all good with it. Nancy Wood Roberts, Barry Boyce, all good. Okay.
All in favor? Okay. Okay, the roads report.
Okay, good morning, council. We have road maintenance status report for January 2025. Our highlights, sorry, my computer here. So we have been sanding and plowing lots. We have snow removal, so general town snow removal and side streets, parking lots, and yard. So that's basically all we've had going on for January, with lots of snow, lots of operations, and that's it for me.
David, just echoing what Walt said earlier on there, just want to say thanks to you and the boys there and Rob coordinating all the snow removal. It's been a lot more snow than we're used to, but just having a lot of compliments in town, having everything cleaned out and so on. So anyways, hats off to you, as I know you've been burning the midnight oil, keeping up. But anyway, thanks again.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Guys, just one quick question to that new machine that you brought for the sidewalks there. How's that working out? Looks like it's doing a good job with the snow blower and that. Just wondering.
Yeah, it's doing a great job. It's really, if we didn't have that during the last operations when we had the heavy snow, we probably wouldn't have made it very far on the sidewalks. But it helped us out huge, and it's definitely been a great machine this season.
Okay, good to hear.
Okay, good report. Mover and second, resolution, I guess, first, Mallory.
Sure. Be it resolved that council receives this report outlining roads maintenance activities for January 2025 as information.
Mover and seconder, Tammy and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Roads report.
Yes.
Capital
Yep,
report.
I have a capital project update here for you. There's not much to show at this point. It is February. Things are just starting to get rolling out. But our two tandems did show up about 6 or 7 months ahead of schedule, which is kind of nice. They need some peripherals put on it, but they are well within budget. Everything else is basically engineering's underway for all our bridge projects, which, as I understand, are probably going to be quite a bit higher than we budgeted for. So prior to us releasing the tenders, we will review this with council again to see if they do want to go ahead with the projects or not, and maybe go ahead with one and not the other, kind of thing. So we still have yet to source a snow blower for our front end loader and a new backhoe loader. I will be returning with pricing from Canoe Procurement on that. We'll be seeking pricing on a Cat backhoe to match our existing fleet. And for the snow blower, it's a very specialized piece of equipment that, we don't have the expertise on what's all out there. So there is a company out of Quebec, it's RPM Tech, has the contract for that. And we expect the useful life on that to be about 15 years.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. Okay. Any questions on that? Resolution then, Mallory?
Be it resolved that council receives the report, capital project update number 1 as information.
Mover and seconder, Pat and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay, tender results.
Yeah, so the first tender result here is for road resurfacing. We had 2 responses from Miller Paving Limited and Duncor Enterprises. So the low bid is being recommended for Miller Paving. It did come in about 2% over budget, but I think there's some flexibility in our capital budget there to absorb that. And we won't be asking for more money as a result of this project.
Okay. That's, any discussion on that?
No, just good to see that they're pretty competitive bids, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nice to see.
Resolution then, Mallory?
Be it resolved that council award the work as described as an RFT 2025-PW-04 being a tender for the provision of road resurfacing on various municipal roads to Miller Paving Limited for $1,128,315, excluding applicable HST.
Okay, mover and seconder. Walt and Pat, all in favor? Carried. Okay, liquid calcium.
Yeah, so the second report is recommending award to Miller Paving Limited for the supply of 35% calcium chloride. It's used for dust suppression throughout the summer months. So the $82,000, that's an estimate that based on the last 3 years of usage. It could be higher, it could be lower. It just depends on the amount of rain we get throughout the summer.
Okay, resolution.
You're muted, Mel.
Yeah, I'm just talking to myself in here. I'm just gonna add in Miller Paving to the resolution, Rob, because it doesn't, that's who it was awarded to, correct? I just noticed that it doesn't say it, so.
Apologies for that.
That's okay. I'm just double check. Yeah, okay, perfect. So be it resolved that council award the work described in RFT 2025-PW-05 being a request for the provision of supplying and applying 35% liquid calcium chloride dust control to Miller Paving Limited for $82,856.04, excluding applicable HST, and that the work be funded by the 2025 operating budget.
Okay, mover and seconder. Pat and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Okay, next, Rob.
Lastly, we're recommending award of the supply of culverts tender to Armtech Incorporated. So we have used all of these vendors in the past. Any one of them would have been a good choice in my mind. Armtech just came in low this year. So again, pretty competitive.
Are they up quite a bit too?
Yeah.
Okay,
Based on what we ordered, yeah.
okay. Resolution, Mallory.
Be it resolved that council award the work described in RFT 2025-PW-06 being a tender for the supply of culverts to Armtech Incorporated for $22,859.10, excluding applicable HST, and that the work be funded by the 2025 operating budget.
Mover and seconder. Walt and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay, that's good, Rob? Thank you. Okay, let's go back to fire.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, is Rob gone?
Yeah.
He's still here.
I just had a question about, has there been any more thought or any progress on the community safety zone that we talked about last month? I just want to be able to keep people up to date, or about the potential of having the cameras that catch license plates for people over a certain speed limit on those roads?
Specifically for Wigamog Road.
Wigamog, yeah.
Yes, we are still working on that. Hopefully I'll have a report to bring back next month.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Rob. Okay, fire. Dan?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, straightforward council report as usual. I try and update you on numbers. We're off to a high start once again, 40 callouts for January. We had 39 last year. So we're still on par to hit well over 400 calls again this year, being a total of 444 last year. Based on that, having really good response from our firefighters, which is wonderful to make up for that kind of stuff. Just notes, the members of the Firefighters Association have once again attended the poker run for Haliburton Forest and Wildlife Reserve. Over 650 people were registered to attend that event this year, and the Halbert Force has worked with us and once again has offered the proceeds from their event for us, giving us upwards of, I think, 1 year even $15,000 for a one-day event. So it's nice to be able to say thank you to them for offering us the opportunity to participate and be able to put stuff back into the coffers towards the equipment that the firefighters want to have over and above what we as a municipality require them to have. So it's nice to be able to have those things coming. I also want to thank council for passing the financial budget last month. Now it allows us to go ahead, and so the boat purchase in particular, the association has proceeded with. We're prepared to provide our funds to meet that. And then as well, we had applied for a grant with the assistance of Jennifer Covert to go towards a new bunker suit extractor, which is effectively a specified washing machine for cleaning our gear, so we don't have to send it out as often, and we can make sure our firefighters are going with clean gear, specifically looking at getting the carcinogens out of our gear, so that we're putting on, and there's less stuff in the hall that way. So we were granted $8,230.45 to put towards that. And not knowing what that was going to be, I had requested a certain amount within the budget, and so nice to know that project can go ahead with no issues with. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Any questions for Dan? Okay, good. Okay, Mallory.
Be it resolved, the council acknowledges receipt of the fire department report for January 2025.
Mover and seconder, Barry and Nancy. All in favor? Carried.
Great. Thank you for your time.
Building and bylaw.
Good morning again, council. So we start off with the January building permit activity report. The report's attached. It's fairly standard for a January slow. Any questions with regards to this report?
Question? Okay, resolution.
Be it resolved, the council received the January 2025 building permit activity report as information.
Mover and seconder. Walt and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Bylaw updates. Haley?
Good morning, council. Yes, so for our bylaw update this month, we have had a bit of a slower complaint intake, which has been beneficial as we've seen quite a few of our short-term rental applications coming in. At the time of this report, the total number of licenses approved was 80, and then there were 33 pending. In terms of general updates, we were not able to meet time constraints to receive the exemption required by the Ministry of Environment in order to tear down the Wigamog. So that is on hold for this time. In other bylaw enforcement issues, we have conditional licenses, which is in my next report. We believe that about 5 could be approved using the proposed conditional licenses of the 33 pending. And then 16 are pending due to Ontario Building Code violations, and the remaining require just updated paperwork. Yes, Ken?
Yes, I don't know whether I should bring it up here or at your next one. But I just wanted to know if it is the right spot to bring it up about the file for Dalkey, as she just messaged me this morning about needing council's approval again for a letter. I guess Jeff had informed her that she needs council approval for removal of 2 decks.
So that might be a planning matter, but we can ask Jeff about that. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll wait for that, or
yeah, it's not on this month's agenda, so I'm not sure that we're not adding it to the agenda. So,
No.
but Jeff can probably speak to what needs to be done to move it forward for sure.
Yeah, well, he just said it's up to council. So, and she
Yeah.
just got the letter this morning.
Okay, sounds good. So when Jeff comes up, we'll talk about that for sure.
Perfect, thanks.
Okay. Resolution then, Mallory?
Be it resolved, the council accepts the bylaw update report for February 2025 is information.
Mover and seconder. Barry and Pat. All in favor? Okay. Short-term rental.
Yes, so as mentioned, following motion 25-21 from last month's council, we've detailed an option for conditional licensing for properties that don't comply with the zoning bylaw. There are two general situations that we're looking at conditional licensing. One is the structures within the water setback, and then another conditional license for any other zoning issues. Just because I know that there's interest in amending the official plan or getting the official plan amended to allow a structure in the water setback. So for properties with that situation, we put together a 1-year conditional license, basically saying that they can get their license, but if they have a structure in that setback, within the setback and it's on a municipally owned shore road allowance, they can have their license but not use that structure as part of the rental. The reason for that being is it would require either the purchase of the shore road allowance, which typically cannot be accomplished in under a year, or a license of occupation, which cannot be provided when a legal structure exists. So the options that we're providing are basically you can get the conditional license, but you can't use the structure as part of the rental unless you own the shore road allowance. In terms of other zoning violations, we are proposing a conditional license until June 1st. These are for items like a hot tub that can be moved, or most of them are for hot tubs that are in locations where they shouldn't be. And then we provide until June 1st for them to move the hot tubs. So that's our conditional license. There were other items that we wanted to review to bring up. I know there was a discussion about permitting STRs and additional dwelling units, which would require an amendment of the zoning bylaw if council wishes to pursue that. Additionally, we've run into properties that wish to rent out individual rooms within an owner-occupied dwelling, which would have it fall under the definition of a bed and breakfast, which are allowed in certain zones, and we've made accommodations for that, but are typically not permitted in a waterfront zone. The other item is we've been contacted by Fleming College as some of their hosts have received letters from us for operating a short-term rental without a license. Fleming has active partners with Places for Students and Spaces Shared. So if the owner is advertising on those websites, they are not considered a short-term rental, they're considered student housing. If they wish to also advertise on Airbnb, VRBO, etc., then we are considering them a short-term rental. In terms of enforcement, we're looking to move towards enforcement action for advertising without a license at the end of March of this year. Yes, and then proactive inspections will be completed alongside the septic maintenance inspection program, and reactive inspections will be carried out on an as-needed basis by the bylaw department. Any questions?
The lady that complained that is renting her house on Wigamog Road.
Yes.
Is that going under a special?
So, yeah, her letter is included in this report. What is not mentioned in the letter, which was communicated to me, was that this individual rents out her additional dwelling unit exclusively to Fleming College students, which I then informed this individual that if they advertise on the Fleming's official partners, then they would be considered student housing and not a short-term rental, and they could continue to operate. But if they wish to advertise on Airbnb, they would be considered a short-term rental, which is not permitted under the current bylaw in an additional dwelling unit.
Haley, my understanding was that this is just part of her house. It's not like an additional separate dwelling. So, and it was renovated to be a rental unit, and all the permits were passed through Dysart.
Yes, I believe it's legally considered an additional dwelling unit, and it is a legal additional dwelling unit. It was they went through all the proper channels to add an additional dwelling unit to their property. Of course, at the time, we Dysart did not allow for additional dwelling units on property without the particular exceptions. And they did go through all of the proper channels. It's just, so we do consider it an additional dwelling unit. It's separate from the main house. It has a kitchen. It falls under the definition of an ADU.
Okay.
So,
Patrick, you have a
so
question?
ADUs, they can't be rented out short term. Is that correct?
Not according to our zoning bylaw.
I'd like to make a motion that we change that. I got several people that are wanting to rent in an Airbnb style application like this. Derek Beachley's one of them on that note. He has an additional dwelling unit on his land, but he can't rent it short term. And that's just one individual, but I don't think we should restrict that to being long term on instances where people take a business on as an Airbnb to.
I wonder if council would like to, so there's a lot of amendments coming forward, but one item on the agenda today is OP and zoning bylaw amendment, which is the public process that we go through and so on. So I wonder if you want to hold on to that thought and bring it up when the planning staff are on the screen.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Murray, one question I got for Haley is we're allowing them to have it till June. Should we maybe look at all of our infractions in September?
Yeah, that's what I think. we should do.
Just give it a little more time. Let's put a list together in September. We've had 30 of this and 12 of this and 5 of that, and then we can
That
get a
makes
game
sense.
plan all at once for next year's licensing.
Yeah, and do the temporary ones
Do
for
the
now.
temporary for everybody for now, as long as it's not a building infraction or a septic or whatever, but if it's just a property standards problem.
Yeah.
And let's deal with them all at once in a big,
Yeah,
let's
because
have a
there is
meeting
going to
on-
be several for sure.
Sure there is. Let's get one meeting together and try to nail them all down at once.
Okay. All right, then I guess any other questions for Haley? Okay. Resolution, Mallory.
Sorry, 1 second. Haley, did you specify in your report that June would be when you would check? I just want to double check here.
Right, so in the report, it does state June, and I guess the resolution I wrote was as written, so.
So I could say as amended to, how would I amend it? As amended,
I wouldn't even say as amended, I'd just say till the end of September. Because it wasn't,
well, it says and further direct staff to implement conditional licenses as outlined in the report.
I'm just saying take out outlined as per the report.
Okay, conditional licenses, and then I'll just note that that's a good idea. Thank you. So September is when we want to check. Okay, so I will read this.
Sorry, just to clarify, September for all other zoning matters, but for the structures in the water setback, are we still doing the full year just because that's the amount of time it will likely take for any official plan amendments to go through?
Do you want the whole thing being a year then? Is that easier? Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, license issues the first of the year, right? Or is it any time they ask for it? I see.
I think the logic with September was that they would have the summer to correct, right?
That we can look at it in September and say we had X amount of infractions. Maybe we need to revamp our side of this thing too, right? Just in case.
Yeah, you're going to get a bunch of them, so you
A
might
whole
as well
bunch.
deal with them all at once.
Yeah, let's get through the first year and then we can renegotiate what we have to.
Haley, are you clear on what you need to do, or?
I believe so, yes. Basically, we're providing the year and then we'll take a look at. I'll bring a report back in September. We'll do what about a conditional license for a year for everybody, but I'll bring a report back in September with an update just to see how many we've actually run into. Is that?
Sounds
Does
good.
that sound good? Okay. So the resolution says, be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the correspondence from Karen Saunders expressing desire to qualify as a short-term rental, and correspondence from Brian Stewart requesting council consider conditional licenses, and further direct staff to implement conditional licenses, is what it says right now, so.
All right. Think so. Mover and seconder. Tammy and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Moving right along. Finance.
Yes, good morning. So the first report we have is the check summary report for January 2025. Total vendor payments were $1,599,476. Total payroll was $410,828. Total disbursements were $2,010,304.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Okay, Mallory.
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the January 2025 check summary.
Mover and seconder. Walt and Pat. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Council and committee remuneration.
Yes, so we have here the annual report for council and committee remuneration, keeping in accordance with section 284(1) of the Municipal Act. And so this here is a record of the payments made to council or on behalf of council and committee members. Total payments for the year amounted to $179,679, and that's comprised of total council payments, $176,648, and the balance of $3,030 to committee of adjustment members.
Okay. Resolution.
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the 2024 council and committee remuneration report as information.
Mover and seconder. Walt and Pat, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Library board lease.
Yes, so currently we have the Haliburton County Library Board leasing space in the Dysart Library branch for their administration offices. And the current leases has expired recently, last year. So we're looking for another renewal for five years. Something new this round of renewals is we've actually included an annual increase, CPI increase of 2% per year. So in 2025, the total rental amount will be $14,371, and that is broken up into 2 installment payments, being June and December.
Okay. Is that the county library board yet? That rate?
Yes, this has been presented to them.
Okay. All right. Okay, resolution.
Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-22, being a bylaw to authorize the lease agreement with Haliburton County Library Board, Dysart Branch, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Mover and seconder. Barry and Carm, all in favor? Carry. Okay, thank you, Barb. Administration.
So the first 2 items here are from the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus. They're looking for council support on resolutions. I'm sure council's read them. So the first one is regarding Canadian Ontario government's negotiations with the United States government on trade tariffs. So basically the resolution says that you support them supporting, it's quite the resolution, the Canadian Ontario government's negotiations with the United States on trade tariffs. Is the way it's worded.
We don't know whether we do or not.
Well, and you're able to just receive the communication too. So it's up to council. Whatever way you guys want to do it. It's been asked that it be put on the agenda, so.
By the time this goes over, the tariffs will be on, the time we get out of here. I guess no harm to do it, I guess, I don't know. One of those motherhood things.
Yeah, so I'll read the resolution. So be it resolved that Dysart Council supports the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus's resolution expressing support for the Canadian Ontario government's negotiations with the United States government on trade tariffs. You're supporting negotiations.
Yeah, okay. When you put it that way, you can do it. Okay, mover and seconder? Carmen, Walt, all in favor? Carried.
So the next one's about the provincial election, basically. So the resolution reads, be it resolved, Dysart Council supports the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus's provincial election priorities as outlined in their 2025 Ontario Priorities Package, ready to work, ready to grow.
Well, the election's on Thursday, so I don't think it's going to get there.
No,
So
that's the timing of our meeting, eh?
might as well save our paper.
Do you want to just acknowledge receipt of the correspondence, or do you want to support it?
Why don't we just acknowledge it?
Okay, we'll acknowledge it. So how about be it resolved the Dysart Council acknowledges receipt is how we'll say it.
Okay. Moving seconder. Walt and Carm, all in favor? Sorry, Tammy, I missed you again. Okay. Sue Tiffin.
So this one is for, they're going to be hosting an identification and employment services clinic event on April 17th. They're asking for access to the AJ LaRue parking lot just in case their mobile trucks need to park here. So they would coordinate with staff just to make sure that, you know, they're laid out properly and so on, but they need council's support in order to move forward.
Okay. Resolution then?
Yep. Be it resolved that Dysart Council approves the request from Sue Tiffin, Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan Coordinator for the County of Haliburton, for the use of the AJ LaRue Arena parking lot for the Identification and Employment Services Clinic event scheduled to take place on April 17, 2025 from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and further direct staff to work with event organizers to determine suitable locations for the mobile service units requiring access to the parking lot.
Seconder. Tammy and Nancy, all in favor? Carried.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next one's an administrative process here. So basically, the appeals committee for short-term rentals, the bylaw for that appeals committee appointing it has been passed at the county. Because we're transferring powers from the lower tier up to the upper tier, the lower tiers now have to basically give approval for this bylaw. And then if 3 out of 4 of us on the lower tier approve it, and it basically comes into force is how that works. I'm trying to describe it in this. It's a long resolution to say that we're okay with what we've already reviewed, basically.
And then we get a member on that, right?
Exactly. I think it's Carm.
Yeah,
I believe it's Carm. So.
We did that, yeah.
So I'll start reading. Whereas Dysart Council passed bylaw 2024-14, being a bylaw to regulate, license, and govern the operation of short-term rentals, and whereas Section 189 of the Municipal Act sets out the authority and conditions for the transfer of lower tier power, in whole or in part, to an upper tier municipality, and whereas the Council of the County of Haliburton has passed bylaw number 4291, being a bylaw to empower the corporation of the County of Haliburton to assume authority for the administration of business licensing appeals in respect to short-term rental accommodations, pursuant to Section 189 of the Municipal Act. And whereas Dysart Council considers it desirable and in public interest that the county be responsible to provide the function of hearing appeals with respect to short-term rental licensing decisions. Now therefore be it resolved that Dysart Council hereby consents to the passage of the county bylaw 4291, being the bylaw to empower the corporation of the County of Haliburton to assume authority for the administration of business licensing appeals in respect to short-term rental accommodations pursuant to Section 189, subsection 2 of the Municipal Act.
Mover and seconder. Walt and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
All right, next one's pretty simple too. So this is our fee bylaw. So staff have previously been to council about these fees. One is the ice fees for the AJ LaRue Arena. The other is the increase to our planning fees. And then the other administrative change was that previously on our fee bylaw, it said that the Haliburton County Farmers Market was charged for 2024 for that $5 per vendor fee, and now 2024 has been removed just so it's a consistent fee each year. So that's the changes to the fee bylaw.
Everybody okay with that? Okay, mover and seconder.
So I'll read it. Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-18, being a bylaw to impose fees and charges, be read a first, second, third time, passed, signed, the corporate seal attached thereto.
Okay, moved by Barry, seconded by Nancy. All in favor? Carried.
Okay. Next one is the remuneration bylaw. Again, council made this decision last month, and now the bylaw is ready to pass. So you can read the resolution if you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay. Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-19, being a bylaw to establish remuneration rates for members of council, be read a first, second, third time, passed, signed, the corporate seal attached thereto.
Mover and seconder. Barry and Carm, all in favor? Carried.
Okay.
Your bylaw.
Next one is, this is just to update the procedural bylaw and the appointment bylaw to establish our personnel committee. So I'll read that as well. Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-20, being a bylaw to govern the calling, place, and proceedings of meetings, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, the corporate seal attached thereto. And further be it resolved that bylaw 2025-21, being a bylaw respecting the appointment of members of council and public representatives of the municipality of Dysart et al., and to appoint members of council as representatives of the municipality of Dysart et al. To external boards and organizations, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Okay, mover and seconder. Pat and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Planning and land information. Jeff and Chris.
Yes, thank you. So this is for the lands of the Haliburton Biochar Limited. We heard this morning. It's for the expansion of the business. No comments or concerns, and the recommendation was to approve the bylaw.
Yeah. Resolution.
Be resolved that bylaw 2025-23, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2005-120 for the lands of Haliburton Forest Biochar Limited, which consists of part lot 33, concession 5 in the geographic township of Dysart, municipality of Dysart et al., which would change the zone on the subject property from general industrial -8 exception zone and environmental protection zone to general industrial -8 exception zone and environmental protection zone. Be read a first, second, third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Mover and seconder. Oh, Barry and Pat, all in favor? Carried. Okay, next.
Yes, the next one is for the lands of Blair on Sawyers Lake Road. This was the reestablishment of 3 lots, so the zoning was a condition of that severance, and there were no comments or concerns, and the recommendation was to approve the zoning.
Okay.
I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-24, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2005-120 for the lands of Blair, which consists of part lots 1, 2, and 3, concession 7 in the geographic township of Dysart, municipality of Dysart et al., which would change the zone on the subject property from rural type 1 and general industrial to rural type 1, rural type 1-16, exception zone, general industrial, and environmental protection, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Okay, mover and seconder. Nancy and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Okay.
Okay, the next one is for the execution of the severance agreement. This is for the lands of Blair. So this was a severance application, received provincial or provisional consent by the County of Haliburton for the purpose of the reestablishment of 3 rural lots on the subject property. The intent of the severance agreement is to give notice to the owners and future owners of the studies and conditions for development of the subject property, specifically for site development plan, environmental impacts, and their recommendations, and the noise impact study that was prepared for the adjacent aggregate operations. And staff recommend that council approve the bylaw, which is the bylaw to execute the severance agreement with Marnie Blair, which is the owner of the subject property.
Okay. Resolution.
Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-25 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a severance agreement with Marty Blair for the lands located in part lots 1 to 3, concession 7 in the geographic township of Dysart, municipality of Dysart et al. Be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Moved and seconded. Pat and, okay, Carm, all in favor? Carried. Next.
Yes, thank you. This is a bylaw to close and convey the original road allowance and shore road allowance adjacent to the lands of McPhee on Grace Lake. Staff recommend deferral of the bylaws until an updated survey is received. So the recommendation is in response to comments received from Hydro One and Bell Canada, who have both requested easements over the subject road allowance. In order to facilitate that easement, an updated survey has been requested from the applicant. We did receive comments from the County of Haliburton as well through this process, but they did not have any specific concerns. Subject to any questions, the recommendation has been provided.
Do you want to defer this?
Correct. Yep.
Resolution to defer then.
Be it resolved that council defers bylaw 2025-26 until a registered survey showing the Hydro One Networks Incorporated and Bell Canada easements is received.
Mover and seconder. Carmen Walt, all in favor? Carried. Okay, next.
Yes, so the next is an application from Mr. and Mrs. Pavolo, who have made application to purchase their shore road allowance in front of their property on Drag Lake. The property is vacant aside from a small shed, which does not comply with the zoning bylaw. Staff are recommending a condition that that shed be removed, that the bylaw enforcement department review that shed. The applicants have advised that they own the adjacent property and they have no concerns with removing that shed. But subject to any questions, staff recommend approval of processing this application.
So they're going to review it to see when it was put there then.
Well, because it's not on the shore road allowance, we typically don't make any conditions for structures. We don't make conditions for structures that aren't on the shore road allowance.
No.
So that's why we word the condition that it should be reviewed by the bylaw enforcement department.
Okay.
But in speaking with the applicants, they have no problems moving it or removing it.
Okay. Okay, mover and seconder there.
I'll read it out here. Be it resolved that council approves for processing an application L07-RO-2025-002 by Povolo to purchase a portion of the shore road allowance along the shore of Drake Lake in front of Lot 9, Concession 7 in the geographic township of Dudley. These lands are declared surplus. And further, that the council directs the bylaw enforcement department review the location of the shed, which does not appear to comply with the zoning bylaw.
They moved by Nancy, seconded by Carm. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Next, Parker.
Ms. Parker has made application to purchase the shore road allowance in front of her property on Kinesis Lake. The subject property includes 3 structures, none of which are located on the shore road allowance. There does not appear to be any concerns related to this request. Subject to any questions, staff recommend approval to process this application.
Janice Parker, I would guess.
That's correct.
Mover and resolution first.
Be it resolved that council approve for processing an application L07-RO-2024-024 by Parker to purchase a portion of the shore road allowance along the shore of Kinesis Lake in front of Lot 9, Concession 13 in the geographic township of Guilford. These lands are declared surplus.
Okay. Mover and seconder, Carm and Pat. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next.
Another road closing application. This one from Mr. and Mrs. Kuznick, who have made application to purchase the shore road allowance in front of their property on Kinesis Lake. The subject property has 3 structures, none of which are located on the shore road allowance. There are a couple of zoning compliance issues for council consideration. The private garage, which is subject to I believe an active building permit, does not comply with the side lot line setback, and there's a sauna within the water setback. Again, because these structures are not on the shore road allowance, staff recommend a condition that they be reviewed by law enforcement department. But subject to any questions, staff seek direction regarding these compliance issues and permission to process the application.
Okay, any questions from staff? Okay.
I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that council approve for processing application L07-RO-2024-15 by Cusnick to purchase a portion of the shore road allowance on the shore of Conesus Lake in front of Lot 7, Concession 2 in the geographic township of Havelock. These lands are declared surplus. And further that council directs the bylaw enforcement department to review the location of the shed/sauna and the private garage.
Okay, resolution then. Walt, you moving this? Yeah, second. By Barry, all in favor? Okay, Harcourt Park.
Yes, Miss Corrigan has made an application on behalf of Harcourt Park to purchase the shore road allowance in front of her leaseholding, which is on Straggle Lake. The intent of the application is to proceed to obtain a building permit for the dwelling, which is located on the shore road allowance. The dwelling and shed right beside it were both constructed in the 60s. Their locations are recognized by the official plan. There's also a gazebo on the deck, which is, we have no record of a building permit for, and it has not been assessed for tax purposes. So pursuant to the official plan, staff recommend a condition that that gazebo be removed or brought into compliance with the zoning bylaw. We did talk to the agent about that gazebo. They've advised that the intent is for the family to put an addition out that side of the dwelling, so it will likely be removed anyways. There's one item that of concern with regards to this request. As you can see on the survey, a small portion of the neighbor's dwelling encroaches on the road allowance in front of this property. And so it's just the eave or the overhang of the dwelling to the north. So staff recommend that that proposed lot line be adjusted slightly to reflect a suitable building envelope around the neighbor's dwelling. This will ensure that through this process, we're not conveying a shore road allowance that includes a portion of the neighbor's dwelling on it. I request direction regarding the compliance issues, as well as the lot line adjustment and permission to process the application.
Okay.
Can I have a comment?
Yes, sure can.
Because we are going to adjust the line, does that mean that the other neighbor should buy that portion of the shoreline allowance? Or are we just giving it to them?
In a perfect, so no, what this would do is it would alter the lot line for this shore road allowance, and it would just give it a 1 meter building envelope around the neighbor's dwelling. So they're not required to purchase their shore road allowance to the north, but we've talked with the applicants. The applicants are actually going to reach out to the neighbor and see if they want to go through a joint process and both purchase their shore road allowance, because in Harcourt Park's a unique animal, whereas to attach the shore road allowance to the leaseholding, they actually have to update their leaseholding through the severance process. So it would make sense that they clean up the encroachment on the lot itself as well through that severance process. So the agent's going to reach out to the neighbors and see if they want to go through the process. But to be safe, right now, we're just saying maybe just adjust that lot line. If it comes back and the neighbor's involved and something's going to get moved, then we can readdress it at that time.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Are you okay with that?
I just didn't want the other neighbor not knowing that that was a possibility that they could buy that.
They will be circulated too. Once we get to the bylaw process, they will be circulated.
Okay.
Okay. Resolution then?
Be it resolved that council approve for processing application L07-RO-2024-026 by Harcourt Park Incorporated, leaseholder Corrigan, to purchase a portion of the shore road allowance along the shore of Straggle Lake on Lot 10, Concession 6 in the geographic township of Harcourt. Due to the location of the neighbor's dwelling, the survey should be updated to clarify the proposed lot line as it projects through the shore road allowance. Pursuant to section 3.2.7, the gazebo shall be removed or brought into compliance with the zoning bylaw. These lands are declared surplus.
Okay, mover and seconder. Tammy and Carm, all in favor? Okay, so now, Jeff, do you want to give us a quick overview of what you presented here?
I don't know how quick it'll be, but I'll go through it as quick as I can. So this, at the council meeting in December, council directed staff to update the official plan and zoning bylaw to permit one structure in the setback, and that structure could be a shed, a sauna, or a gazebo. Both the shed or sauna should be 3 meters from the lake. Only 1 meter can be cleared around these structures, and they require a 2 meter vegetation buffer, and that these structures have a maximum gross floor area of 15 square meters. So to start this process, staff have prepared a work plan and attached it to the agenda. This is the work plan for the official plan amendment and zoning amendment process. We pre-consulted with the county and as the approval authority for the official plan amendment. And we've also prepared draft policies for council review. Just looking at the work plan, which is attached to your agenda, this step of the process today is council's opportunity to discuss and maybe agree on the proposed policies for the official plan and zoning bylaw before proceeding to the public process. So I do seek specific direction from council regarding those provisions and policies. As I said, I will go through them in detail. If you have any questions, let me know. To assist with this, attached to the staff report are tables that outline the preliminary revisions proposed to both documents. If you wish to follow along, I'm quickly going to look at the table that's titled the Dysart et al. Official Plan Review and Update. So on these tables, all changes are highlighted in yellow. As you can see on that first table, changes are proposed to section 3.2.7 and section 5.1.2, as well as staff question whether section 15.2.2, which is a lake-specific policy to permit sheds on steep lots on Percy Lake, is required any longer. If we're going to implement permit sheds across the board on all waterfront properties, perhaps that section's not necessary. I do think it's important we go through it in a little bit more detail. So if you go to the next attachment, it doesn't really have a title, but this will spell out the exact language or the draft language for the policy changes. At the top, it says 3.2.7, closing and conveying of road allowances. That's this first section proposed to be changed today. This is the section that gives council direction when reviewing an application to purchase a shore road allowance. As you can tell by all my staff reports, this policy directs council to remove inappropriately located accessory buildings. And it also clarifies what is an inappropriately located accessory building. Basically, it had to exist prior to 1977, which is when our first zoning bylaw came into effect, and or been assessed prior to that date. So the proposed language will recognize that one roof structure, either a gazebo, shed, or sauna, is permitted by way of section 5.1.2, and therefore would not be considered an inappropriately located accessory building. So when we're coming forward with future applications for shore road allowances, we wouldn't be asking for that one structure to be removed. If you go to the second page of that attachment and the third page, I suppose, this is section 5.1.2, which is the lakes and river zone. This is the section that provides council direction for development in shorelands, noting that development in shorelands should be set back from the shoreline with the intent to maintain the shoreline's natural characteristics, quality, and integrity, to preserve its natural visual characteristics, as well as protect and conserve natural heritage features such as critical fish habitat, provincially significant wetlands, species at risk, that type of thing. So this is also the section that outlines what structures are accepted from that shoreline setback requirements. So right now it includes docks and stairs and landings. As per your request, I have provided draft policy language for council review and consideration. The intent of this policy, and I did present a lot of this in December, but the intent of the policy is to attempt to maintain an appropriate balance between that natural shoreline and the structures within the shoreline setback. The draft policy today provides clarification regarding structures permitted in the minimum water setback, including a deck and patio that are not attached to a main building, and the addition of one roofed structure. As per council direction, that policy clarifies that one roofed structure is limited to either a gazebo, a shed, or a sauna. The gazebo, shed, or sauna are restricted to a maximum of 15 square meters, which is approximately 160 square feet. Storage sheds and saunas will be located a minimum of 3 meters from the high water mark. Storage sheds and saunas will be screened from view from the lake and neighboring properties with a 2-meter vegetation buffer. As presented at the last meeting, with the intent of maintaining the intent of the official plan, additional policies have been included to protect the shoreline vegetation buffer and protect the municipality from liability. These policies note that the applicant should obtain a shoreline report through the Municipal Lake Health Assessment Program, as well as if their structure is going to be located on the municipal shore road allowance, the applicant should purchase that shore road allowance. Just to give council a bit of information, that shoreline report is an existing process administered by the building department. I've looked at a few of those reports, and that report is broken down into 3 sections. The first section it focuses on is the ribbon of life, which is the first 3 meters of shoreline above the high water mark. The next area of focus is the remaining 27 meters within the water setback. And the last area of focus is erosion and sediment control within that water setback. Again, as stated, the reason for that is the intent of this policy is to reward property owners who have maintained their shoreline to have a structure in the water setback, and require people who haven't to repair their shoreline vegetation. This is designed to help these policies comply with our official plan, specifically sections 2.2 and section 5.1.2. Definitions and further provisions and clarification will be provided in the zoning bylaw. I will jump to the zoning bylaw, but did anybody have any questions about the official plan policies before I jumped ahead?
Jeff, just making mention of, there's nothing in there about hot tubs at 60 feet back from the water. And we get a lot of those inquiries or deficiencies, and when people are doing adjustments to the shoreline stuff. But I was wondering if that's something that should be in there to clear that angle up. Is that a problem?
Well, with staff seek council direction on that. So we were just going off council's marching orders from December, which specifically said just a shed, a sauna, or a gazebo. So if council would like staff to explore adding that, we can go back to the drawing board.
Myself, I don't feel that it's my own opinion, of course, too constrictive on that note. So it's got to be 60 feet back from the water. That's my own opinion. You can word that however you want. I just don't want it to be too complicated for you either, but effective in that we don't have to keep dealing with those issues. That's all.
What's a hot tub got to be back now?
So it says it must comply with the water setback. So for probably 90% of the properties, it's 66 feet. For properties that were created as of 2005, it's 30 meters, so roughly 100 feet. But for the majority of the properties, it is 66 feet.
Okay, and that's already in place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's already in place and that's the case, Jeff, then that's fine. Sure.
Yeah, so newer properties, it is an increased setback, but for all the existing and developed properties prior to 2005, it's 20 meters.
Okay. The second thing I want to jump to, there's indications in here of the fish habitats. I'm wondering, I'm struggling with that one because again, every shoreline could have fish habitat, and I know some are critical and what have you, but it almost like at 300 meters back for I think it said Trout Lake or whatever on there. I'm wondering if that should be massaged or moved or deleted on that note, because again, the ribbon of life's 10 feet. I don't know if we need to put that in there. That's my own opinion, of course.
Yeah, and I'll get to that section, Councillor Casey, but that hasn't been included in the policy to date. So I included a section in the report for considerations that council might want to look at, just to protect those natural heritage features. But right now, there's nothing in these policies that would say that those structures weren't permitted within those adjacent areas to those sensitive features.
Thanks, Jeff.
But I will bring that all up again. And again, it's just based on our official plan, which says there should be no negative impact on those features prior to development. But let me go through the zoning bylaw if there's no more questions in the official plan, and then we can jump to those considerations after, if that's okay. Okay, I will jump to the zoning bylaw. So if you flip to the next attachment, it's titled 2025 Amendments to the Zoning Bylaw. Staff are recommending new definitions. Again, everything's highlighted in yellow where the changes are. Staff are recommending new definitions for the term gazebo and storage shed, and also updating the definition for outdoor sauna to recognize the increase from 10 square meters to 15 square meters. Getting into section 3.1B, that's the section of the zoning bylaw that outlines which structures are permitted in a minimum setback area. For this instance, section 3.1B3, it currently states that decks and patios that are not attached to buildings and are restricted to a gross floor area not exceeding 20 square meters are permitted. So I've expanded on those provisions. Adding the permission of one roof structure while still limiting that development to a total combined 20 square meters. The additional conditions include that the roof structure is limited to a gazebo, shed, or sauna. The maximum gross floor area is 15 square meters. The maximum structure height is 3.5 meters. And this isn't something we've discussed yet, so I'm looking for feedback, but that was consistent with some of the heights from other jurisdictions for sheds, gazebos, and saunas. I've included a minimum water setback for the shed or sauna of 3 meters, that a vegetation buffer between the sauna or shed and the lake be 2 meters. I did note that all structures shall be located above the high water mark. Because we weren't specifically clarifying a setback for the gazebo, I just wanted to note that it did need to be above the high water mark and not in the lakes and river zone. All structures shall comply with the side lot line setback for a main dwelling, and this was already in there, but I've just kept it in there. That's just to respect the privacy of the neighbors. It does note that the shore road lounge should be purchased and a shoreline report through the Lake Health Assessment Program be obtained, and that the score on that report be 100%. In the report, I have provided, actually, before I jump ahead, I was going to go to the consideration section, but did council have any questions about that?
Yeah, Jeff, so you're saying that a shed or a gazebo or a sauna, you have to purchase the shoreline?
Yes, that is the recommendation.
I just kind of question that. Like if there was going to be one of them down in there, just like I could see if it was going to be all three, but with just one down there, that's what I don't understand why that couldn't be allowed. The changes we're making or trying to make.
Well, there are roughly 9,000. Oh, sorry.
I don't know how everybody else feels, but like I say, if we're trying to pass it with three, it'd be definitely a problem, but with just one of those three. Like your comments, thank you.
Yeah, so there's roughly 9,000 waterfront properties, if I remember correctly. So adding 9,000 new structures to municipal property certainly comes with liability. It's up to council how they want to proceed, but you may want to obtain the advice of your solicitor or even your municipal insurance provider before you determine how to proceed there, because there is certainly liability associated with these structures.
Jeff, I wonder if we could do a license of occupation renewable every 3 years or something like that, just to massage that a bit. I know that to buy a shoreline, you're pushing lately 20 grand to start, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing to alleviate liability, but on the same note, to make it a bit more palatable for everybody else that's just trying to build a shed. I wonder if that's something we could look at. That, you know, try and keep it painless on both sides if that's the case, even if it was 5 years with a lump sum payout, so it's not so burdensome on staff as well. But anyways, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, that's something I'll go back and look at. Yeah. Okay, so I'll just move on a little. So I did, as Pat mentioned, I did have some considerations that council might just want to be aware of when implementing these policies. They will not permit a structure on a dock. Installing a structure in the water setback may trigger some requirements through the short-term rental process, maybe require a temporary license of occupation. Gazebos and saunas over 10 square meters will require a building permit. Staff recommend increasing the setback and vegetation buffer widths for sheds and saunas. Currently provided by council direction was the 3-meter setback for sheds and sauna with a 2-meter vegetation buffer. This would permit clearing vegetation in the ribbon of life, so it's something council might want to consider. Council may want to add provisions that exclude or regulate the storage of vehicles, motor vehicles, harmful fluids in the storage shed that close to the water. The zone, in terms of, and I wanted to discuss this with council. Right now, these policies as provided reference that shoreline report as issued by the building department. The zoning bylaw actually currently includes a required shoreline vegetation buffer width in section 5.2. So instead of requiring that report, that policy could be tied to that compliance with that shoreline vegetation buffer width. So it was just something that I wanted to throw out there. And this is the section that you brought up, Councillor Casey. Currently, that there's no mechanism in place to ensure that there's no negative impact on natural heritage features. So I just mentioned that council may wish to add provisions that a roof structure be restricted with adjacent within the adjacent lands of mapped features. So, and that talked about the provincially significant wetlands, critical fish habitat, and lake trout lakes at capacity. And I include the term mapped. So these are mapped in our official plan mapping. So I know you said that perhaps every property could have critical fish habitat in front of it, but if you look at our mapping, it doesn't. So that was just a recommendation that for consideration. Lastly, council may wish to consider site plan control as a tool to ensure there will be minimal disturbance on the shoreline vegetation, prevent erosion, that kind of thing. Currently, there's no process to make sure that they do put that vegetation buffer in place or keep that vegetation buffer or just monitor that development. So these are all recommendations. If you have any feedback, I'm happy to take it. None of this stuff has been included in the policy to date. It's just something I wanted to provide for your thought.
Jeff, just jumping in here, my own opinion of the site plan control, we could leave that with the, I think we just discussed that or if I heard it right, we got to get a building permit for the gazebo. Is that correct or no?
Only if it's over 10 square meters. So building permits aren't required for sheds unless they're 15 square meters, but for gazebos and saunas over 10 square meters, a building permit's required.
So my own opinion is I don't think we have to do a site plan control on that note. If it's, again, we're not building a garage or what have you on that note. That's my own opinion on that one. The other one, in terms of the features out front, with no offense, I think we're curtailing any additional pollution going to the lake by, again, making sure those hot tubs are 66 feet back. On that note, I don't foresee any, it's my own opinion again, any negative effects of a sauna or a shed being within 10 feet of the ribbon of life. It's my own opinion, whatever habitat you have out in front of that. On that note, like, to me, every lakefront's fish habitat is my own opinion, but anyway.
Are there any other comments before I proceed? I just have a little bit more.
Sorry, Jeff. I'd just like you to clarify, again with the, buying the shoreline or like Pat brought up, a license of occupation for a shed or a gazebo or down by the, shoreline, right on the, water. To me, like I said, you're saying at 10 by 10, you don't have to get a building permit, or you do?
So there's different requirements. So the minimum requirement for a building permit for a shed is 15 square meters. But that's only for a storage shed. All other structures, it's 10 square meters. So the gazebo and the sauna, if over 10 square meters, will require a building permit.
Okay. And are we gonna consider the, instead of buying the shoreline, that there might be a license of occupation? Would that be put in this new policy or not?
Yeah, I have that in my notes. I will go back and look at that.
Okay, thanks very much.
Hey, Jeff, if you don't mind me asking, why do we need the difference in the building permits between the shed and the gazebo and the sauna?
That is not something I'm putting in place. That's something through the building code. That's just the law in the building code. I could ask for clarification from Carl, but that's just the way it's implemented by the province.
Okay.
Jeff, do you want to finish your summary and then we'll do comments at the end if we want changes of the draft or?
Yep, sounds good. Yeah, just going on to next steps. So once council is satisfied with the draft amendments, at least one public meeting is required to receive input from the residents and stakeholders. As per that work plan that's attached, right now that date is scheduled for April 22nd, 2025. I will come back in March with regards to comments on the license of occupation and any other comments council may have. And just one more thing in terms of comments, although we have not formally begun the public consultation process, we have received some comments from lake associations and concerned citizens. I have included their comments and summarized them in this report for your attention. But because we're not in the public consultation process yet, I'm not going to bring them up and we don't need to discuss them. I will continue to compile them, and then when we get to the public meeting, we can discuss them at that point. But that concludes everything. If you have any more questions or comments, I'm looking for direction and feedback, and I can go back to the drawing board.
Your Honor. Jeff, I just think you've done a really good job on this. It kind of encompassed everything that we were looking for. And I know it's been an incredible amount of work, and I want to thank you for all your time and your attention to detail.
So I understand this. I think I understand it. But so we're going to allow gazebos, not on the dock, but on the platform. And we're going to allow saunas and sheds 10 feet from the water. Is that what I heard? 3 meters?
That's correct.
I think you're going to get quite a bit of pushback on that, but I could be wrong. I thought we were moving some of those things back 66 feet, 20 meters.
Yeah, the resolution or the minutes provided by council last month included a 3-meter setback for a gazebo and for a shed. Oh, sorry, not a gazebo and a shed, for the sauna and the shed. The gazebo could abut the shoreline, and that there be a 2-meter vegetation buffer between them.
The 12 by 12 shed, 10 feet from the lake. But you can only have one of those, right?
Yes, only one of those 3 structures. You'd have to pick and choose.
I don't know.
Murray, we might want to consider, and Jeff might agree with this. We've slotted a regular council meeting for a public meeting. It might need to be, depending on some of the feedback we're getting, we might want to hold a special meeting. Would you agree, Jeff?
People.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. We've already received considerable interest, so it could be a lengthy meeting.
So how many have you heard from? Like 1 or 5 or?
I've heard from 6 lake associations and 1 individual at this point, but we have not circulated yet.
Jeff, when you say circulated, does that mean every ratepayer on the lake? Is that something that goes out in a tax bill, or is that just in the newspaper?
No, so we won't circulate each individual in this instance. As per the Planning Act, we'll put something in the newspaper, we'll put it on our website, we'll send it to a lot of organizations such as the lake associations, Hydro, Bell, any other interested parties, the county. But we won't send it to them individually.
Myself, personally, this is my opinion, is that, you know, the gazebo is a type of structure that we're all so conscientious now about sun with our kids, ourselves, our grandparents down by the water. So having it down by the water on a deck, it doesn't bother me at all. But I could, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to the sheds or the saunas being moved back a bit farther than the 3 meters. I just think that maybe they don't have to be back 20 meters, but even if they were back, you know, 10 or 5 meters to 15 meters, somewhere in there, you know, to me, that would be, I think people wouldn't be so opposed to it if that was the case, but that's for discussion, I guess.
Tammy?
Yes. He said at the beginning there's 9,000 waterfront properties in Dysart. I would like to know if the lake associations are going to speak for the whole association with their letters. It would be nice to know how many properties on their lake already have this happen on their property. Like out of 9,000, is there half of them that already have this happening on their properties? If the associations are going to speak for the whole lake, and not go for input on the specific cottagers, it would be nice to know how many already have these structures within the 30-meter setback. Because the way Jeff said that there was 9,000, there's going to be 9,000 more structures. Well, I feel like over half of the lakes already have these. So it would be just nice to know if there was, if they're going to comment on it, it would be nice to know how many structures are already there. And like how many this is going to affect.
Yeah, and I don't know if I could speak to whether the Lake Association is going to speak for everybody, but staff can try and find a number, a general number, without specifically going property by property and counting which ones have structures and which ones don't. We can try and come up with a general number as to a percentage of properties that might already have these structures.
Okay.
If this association will circulate to its members, telling them what the public meeting's about, so that they will know.
It's just that I'm getting feedback that it's just the board of directors of the Lake Association, then they're not going to the cottagers themselves when I talk to people. So it would be nice to have everybody involved and find out what this is really about.
Get this out, then they'll have that opportunity.
Okay.
I definitely think it's really important that every lakefront owner gets what a lot of people, a lot of these lakes, there's a lot of people that aren't members of the Lake Association and they want to say, I know that I've been approached by a lot of these people. So I think it's really important that just because you're not in the on the association's list.
They get told, yeah.
There are a lot of lakes too that don't have associations though, and those people, they need to rely on watching the newspapers and getting the notice too. So whether they have a lake association or not, you're still going to have a group that aren't getting that communication.
I'm not trying to make it a chore for everybody, but that's why I was indicating that maybe worthwhile for just a one pager with a couple of questions on it? Do you support it? No. Do you have existing sauna, shed, whatever on this report, and just an email? Yes, email it in the tax in the tax envelope, and then you're getting a solid reaction from everybody on the lake on that note. Yeah. Anyway, that's my own opinion.
We could look at, I don't know if Jeff, we could maybe look at putting out surveys on that kind of thing too for public engagement if council wanted us to get feedback on that kind of thing. On another way. I know Jeff has lots of prescribed ways, but maybe that gets more word out.
Yeah, public consultation is always a great idea. Through the Planning Act is what we're always looking at, just following that process. But if council wants to enhance that process, it's a good idea. It might come with a small budget and some extra time, but yeah, whatever you think, we can look at some methods.
Definitely make it thorough on that aspect. You're not relying on hearsay or what have you, and let you clear up a lot of accessory questions too, or rumor. But anyway.
So I just want to review. So Jeff's reviewed the way he's written the draft right now. Jeff, in terms of adding, coming back with that proposed license of occupation for structures in the shoreline there, would that be added into the official plan and zoning bylaw with language in there as well?
Well, as I'm sitting here thinking, right now we are trying to get to the April 22nd for a public meeting.
I don't think that's.
It was possible perhaps just to address the license of occupation issue prior to that meeting and still going ahead with the public process. But if we want to do an enhanced public consultation process, that might get bumped back a bit.
Yeah.
So I might have to come back next month with an updated work plan.
Be nice if we could be united as a council when we go to a public meeting, I can tell you that.
And then the other thing that that what might change the way that Jeff's written it right now, that Walt and Murray you both brought up, and then I'd like to get council's take on it, is so we're okay with the position of gazebos, but do we like the sheds and saunas where it's been written in the draft, or do we want to look at where they're positioned?
I myself like it the way it's written, Mallory, and again, I just for my own comment is that, you know, if I don't need a shed impeding a view out of my front window down the lake, I wouldn't put one there. I guess what I'm considering is that places like same as Squabbie Lake or Harcourt Park, where you get steep access to lakes and stuff like that, it's almost a necessity carting things up and down the hill, like life jackets and floaties and stuff like that, to have them all in one spot and put away nice and neat and tidy in that regard.
And so council can go forward with the way it's written now, and then of course when you do public consultation, if something comes out of that or a perspective that wasn't thought about, you can always amend it too as you go through that process. We've done this before where we've had quite a large amendment that affected people, and we had to do a few public meetings, and we brought back a new amended version that we kind of tweaked a bit, and so that happens too. Of course, this is just to kind of bring forward a draft for people to look at and give their reaction to at this point.
Yeah, exactly, Mallory. So this is really just a starting point for us, and then we can listen to what the public has to say, and we can present it this way. And if we feel we need to change it after the public opinion comes in, then we'll do that.
Yeah.
Also throwing in there, maybe we should push it back till after May 24, and that more cottages will be up or what have you, May, June, maybe. I'm not trying to make it more difficult for everybody, but
No,
to have it in April is a little bit premature, I think.
What if we wait till after we all go to our cottage association meetings in the spring? We could bring it up at every meeting. We all go to a different cottage association, bring it up in front of the people.
Let the people know. Yeah.
Let the people know this is coming up. And
Now, you can't do it when they're in the winter. You wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, and I'm not, I'm just saying that whatever we decide on here, I'm not opposed to the 3 meters, but I just think that we're gonna get some really serious kickback in that versus moving it back just a little bit farther. And I understand what you're saying, Pat. There's some circumstances with people's lots where we have to make some concessions. We know somebody's got a steep cliff and he hasn't got a lot of footage after that rock wall. He should be able to build his shed closer to the water, like things like that. I definitely agree with that, but I really do believe that those 9,000 lots, there's a few of those definitely for sure, but there's the majority of the lots are flat enough where we could move the sheds back and the saunas back a bit. That's if everybody agrees to that. Thank you.
So Jeff, what do you think about, Ed Council, what do you think about receiving this report today? Jeff needs to return, or do you want to accept the proposed amendments? The only thing is that license of occupation, what do you think, Jeff?
I think maybe we receive it and direct staff to that expanded or enhanced public consultation process, whatever that may be. Does council want staff to come up with an idea, come back next month and see what your thoughts are on that public consultation process? I'm not sure when you guys are going to the lake associations in the spring, but it'd be nice to get that out before that.
24th of May usually.
Yeah, because then you could take them something specific rather than just opening up as to what do you want.
Oh, we were going to receive it then?
Yeah, so I'll say receive and then direct staff to return with a report detailing a proposed enhanced public consultation process.
A lot of work there, Jeff. That's good. A lot of work.
So
Resolution then, Mallory?
yeah, I'll read that. Be it resolved that council receive the staff report dated February 25th, 2025, related to the proposed official plan and zoning bylaw amendments to support structures in the minimum water setback, and further direct staff to return with a report detailing a proposed enhanced public consultation process.
Mover and seconder, Pat and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Thanks, Jeff. Chris?
Thank
Okay,
you.
Go down through these reports. The washroom? Well, you don't mind, there's nothing you have to report. I'll let you know if there's anything exciting. Harcourt, Tammy?
They haven't had a meeting yet, so I have nothing to report.
You had a good report, so there you go.
Yeah, Marie, the snow shuffle went on really good this weekend. We had about 250 attendees. We raised 15,000 for the side. Like it was $50 shy of 15,000 we raised. So it's the best we've ever done.
Very good. Good. That's good news. And Nancy, Rails End?
Rails End are, they've just got their usual, lots of busy things going on. They have had some issues with, the sewer line froze at one point, and there's a little bit of maintenance that needs to be done in the spring, like the outside lighting and stuff. There was some issues with it after the soffit and fascia were replaced, so that has to be addressed. They're getting ready for the Art and Craft Festival already. They have 150 applications for 100 spots, so it's an incredibly popular and robust festival that brings a lot of people to town. And that was it.
Resolution then, Mallory?
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the February 2025 Rails End Gallery and Art Center report.
Mover and seconder, Barry and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay, BIA, Pat?
Hey, Murray, we're having our AGM there tonight here at the council.
They should be happy with the snow removal.
Yeah, no, they are. Anyway, staying within the budget that we had last year on that note, which is great. They got some new ideas of some other stuff. You're doing a pumpkin carving contest this year coming up, which is generating a lot of hype. But anyways, all good stuff moving ahead, and we got some things cooking this winter. So
good.
Anyways,
thank you. Yep. And I guess you harvest hasn't met, I would.
They met a bit ago. They're having another meeting coming up, I think, next week. So we'll be better to report then.
Good, thank you. Kawartha Source Protection, I'll have to wait on Walt here. Upper Trent, did they meet yet, Tammy?
Nope, they haven't met yet. that I know of.
I'm sure that Walt hasn't been to that. So we can move on. Okay.
Your Honor, can I just ask a question through you to Tamara? Previously, we used to get minutes for all of the other boards and everything that council sat on. So do we still get those routinely, or is it just Rails and Gallery?
We get them as part of the annual audit process, and Barbara has to provide them to the auditors as well. So we do an annual
okay
date with them all to get them.
All right, thank you.
If you want them attached to the regular council meetings, though, as Carm, is there a? Do you want them brought forward for?
The only thing
information?
well, this is brought up. Is there any way we can get CC'd or whatever on the county agenda? Like we get our agenda? You know what I mean? Is that so we could read it before we get to the county meeting, just in case it was something that we would like to watch it for? Or is that something we could get?
Yeah, it's on the website.
I realize that, but is there any way that, like, obviously it gets sent to you, Marie, through whatever. Is there a way we can get incorporated in that? We all
I can show you how to sign up on their website, that it sends it to your email when they post. I'll show you how to do that.
That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we have a resolution to go into closed.
Can I go back for 1 second?
Yeah.
Did you want us to ask to bring the minutes forward to regular meetings for information?
Well, no, I just know when I was on the BIA and stuff, Nellie was always great because she always forwarded all those minutes so that everybody knew what was kind of going on.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't hurt.
No, well, I think once they did.
I haven't seen any recently, but
So BIA does send them, but I think they've switched up their administrator. So we'll have to, I don't know, when they get the new one, I'll reach out to her. But in terms of West Guildford, we haven't seen that in a while, so.
Not likely to see it either, by the look of Carm.
Would you like me to read the resolution to go into closed?
Yeah, if you got your phone on.
All right, be it resolved that council adjourn its regular meeting at 4:44 a.m. to discuss matters pursuant to section 239, subsection 2 of the Municipal Act as amended pertaining to 1, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, 2, a proposed disposition of lands in the township of Dysart, which is an industrial park property, and 3, a proposed disposition of land in the township of Dudley, which is a road allowance disposition.
You, mover and seconder? Pat and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Okay, we're gonna go into close. Just a minute, okay? Okay, resolution on the report.
Okay, so we have two reports from closed here. First one is be it resolved that council sets the purchase price for part of the road allowance between lots 15 and 16, concession 3 in the township of Dudley, shown as parts 1 to 4 on the preliminary plan of survey at 50,000. And be it resolved that council sets the purchase price for part of the road allowance between lots 15 and 16, concession 3 in the township of Dudley, shown as parts 5 to 14 of the preliminary plan of survey at 30,000.
Okay. Hoover and seconder. Barry and Carm, all in favor? Okay, any notice of motion?
Oh, I've got one more report from
Oh, you
closed,
do?
sorry. Be it resolved that council sets the purchase price for the lands legally described as part lot 12, concession 9, and further described as part 21, and part of part 20, plan 19R-2953 in the geographic township of Dysart at 35,000.
Oh, okay, forgot about that one. Okay, mover and seconder. Pat and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Any notices of motion? Confirming bylaw.
Tammy's got her hand up.
Yeah.
Tammy, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, what I had mentioned there at the STR, and I mentioned it at the wrong time. Does that mean that the one that we passed today would include that, so she should be fine?
So this is about the Dalkey file.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah, so Jeff, do you want to speak to Tammy about that now, or do you want to speak after council? So Jeff will reach out to you after council, Tammy.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Okay, so I will read the resolution. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-27, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting held on February 25th, 2025. You read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, the corporate seal attached thereto.
Mover and seconder. Nancy and Tammy, all in favor? Carried.
And then adjournment, be it resolved the council adjourn its regular meeting held on February 25th, 2025 at 12:14 p.m.
Mover and seconder. Walt and Pat, all in favor? Thank you.
Okay.